G'day to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. And today I've got a different scenery. I'm coming to you from my front yard, and as you can see, we've got everything in full blossom. It's at its very best, so I thought I'd use it as a backdrop and just show off my secret garden to my friends and family, and to take you through a Jim's 5am Club. And today we're going to do a book summary, a pretty good book summary. It's an awesome book summary. I've enjoyed this book summary. It's entitled Antifragile, and it's written by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. Nassim Nicholas Taleb is the author of this wonderful book entitled Antifragile. What a title. Antifragile. What does antifragile mean? Anyway, so the author kicks off by trying to explain his position, and he said that antifragile is the opposite of fragile. And he said that when we look around our friends, family, our society, we're overwhelmed, I think, these days by the amount of fragility that occurs, the amount of how sensitive people are with their opinions, with their views, and nobody's got that grit anymore to be able to be resilient and to just get on and get things done without the fear of their reputation being torn apart or them being attacked and ridiculed in public. So this book here is an interesting book, because what it does is it allows us to focus on this very issue that we have, the fact that we are a very fragile, we've become, we're not that we always were, we've become a very fragile society, a very fragile community, because we just can't handle confrontation any longer. So the author offers a call to action and tells us all to man up, to woman up, to boy up, to girl up, to whatever up, and basically take on the challenge and to become anti-fragile. And the example that he uses is that to be anti-fragile, when you're attacked, when you're challenged, you need to be able to come back stronger, bolder, and better than before, and not go cowering away and looking for somewhere to hide. And the wonderful example, the wonderful metaphor that is used is that of the Hydra, the ancient Greek Hydra, who demonstrates anti-fragility in its most clearest form, according to the author. And he says, be like the Hydra. And what does be like the Hydra mean? For those who are not aware, the Hydra was a monster with many heads, but every time you cut off one of its heads, two heads would grow back and be even more vicious and wild and confronting. So that's a great little story for kids, to teach them how to become hydras. They can become Hydra Tyrannosaurus Rexes, for example, where they could grow two Tyrannosaurus Rex heads, and then another two, and another two. Every time one gets cut off, every time one gets injured or severed, then another one comes back. So we've got more and more to fight with. So what a wonderful example. What a wonderful way to look at life and to live, and to embolden ourselves and to build courage and to become empowered. So they go on to say, and this is a really, really good point, that the more reputation you have, the more wealth you have, the more ego you have, then the more fragile you have, because you got more to lose when somebody challenges you, or when there is a risk or a threat of you losing what you have. So if you fear your reputation, then you're fragile. So the important thing is to get to a point where you no longer attach yourself to the material images or the brands or the egotistical sort of labels that you're surrounded with in your life. And they go on to say another thing here, which is an interesting one, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree and many will disagree. But he says that if you don't care how you dress or look, you're anti-fragile. And what I've noticed is that there are a lot more people these days who are not as focused on their personal image as what they used to be years ago. Does that mean that they're anti-fragile? Or does it mean that they're just given up and don't care? I guess the jury's out on that. I'm not quite sure myself how to answer it. And so he goes on to say that success makes you fragile. You know, the more successful you become, the more fragile you become, because the less able you are to deal with change and loss of position. And hence you see a lot of people in corporate Australia. I worked with a lot of them. You know, they become narcissistic, they become evil, they become mean, they become political animals in order to maintain their position. And if they're challenged in any way, shape or form, then they'll just viciously take on the aggressor and try and wipe them out. And another thing that I learned from reading this book, and once again, I'm not sure how true it is, but for the author to talk about it and to write about it, then there must be something there. There must be some substance to it. And I guess he could be right, because over the years, when I used to go to the races, you know, there used to be fantastic horses which would sometimes run very ordinarily. And you go, how did that happen? But the author here has an observation. And he says that the best horses lose when they run against slower horses. And you see it in football, you see it in rugby league. All of a sudden you've got the premiers, the best team in the competition, who should thrash the team that they're playing on the weekend, and yet they're surprised, they lose. Sometimes they get thrashed. And you say to yourself, how did that happen? And what the author is suggesting is that sometimes when you're really, really successful, then you also carry a lot of pressure. You carry a lot of pressure, and then with that pressure, you also don't take other teams or other challenges seriously, because you get carried away with your own importance and with your own position, and you start to believe your own media and marketing and what your fans think of you and say about you. So you've got to be careful not to rest on your laurels and not to get sucked into being complacent. I guess the message from the author is, otherwise you'll become fragile. So you need to continue to train in order to get to the top, and train even harder when you're at the top to stay at the top. The author also mentions something else which I liked, that in life we need stress, but not too much stress. You need enough stress to get you moving, you need enough stress to keep you going, but you don't need too much stress at the one time to cause you to collapse and to give up. And they talk about the importance of immersing yourself in real life situations and real environments. And sorry about that. And the author says that real language learning happens in the real world. In order to learn a new language, so for example, if I wanted to learn Italian, for example, I'd be better off going to Italy for 6 months or 12 months and immersing myself in a village where I had to talk with people day in, day out, and there was no out. So you force yourself to perform. The author also talks about it's okay to do crazy things every now and then. It's okay, and it's good for you, in fact, and hence, sometimes we'll go and dance on tables, we'll break plates, and we'll do that as a release. It's not something we do all the time, but it's good to do things like that to have a release and to enable you to express your fragility, but also to know that you can bounce back and become anti-fragile at the same time. The author goes on and says that if you dislike someone, leave them alone or eliminate them, but don't take them on. And I remember reading this in another book, 48 Laws of Power, where they say that if you're somebody of high status, of high power and in high position, what you best are to do is to ignore people who challenge you, because once you engage them, then you kind of define them as being important and of your equal. So by engaging them, you're dropping in your status and you're opening up a can of worms, or you're opening up your Achilles heel for them to attack you in public and to damage your reputation. So it's important to look at options in your life to help you become less fragile, is one of the points. And also to be on the lookout for what people say and what they do. Because what people say and what they do are entirely different things. So it's important to be consistent, congruent with what you say, and as long as what you do is aligned, as we've said time and time again, to your goals, to your values, to your dreams, and to your time frames, then you've got nothing to worry about, and you will become anti-fragile because you have a purpose. And once you've got a strong and compelling purpose, then once again you have nothing to fear. You have nobody to fear. You have nobody to answer to, because you're living your values, your dreams, and nobody can steal those from you other than yourself. So I think that's about it for today. It's been another opportunity to catch up and have a shared experience. It's Friday evening. It's going to be a warm one tomorrow. I'll try and get down to the city early in the morning. I'll ride down on my motorbike. I'll try and get down early to catch a sunrise. But it all depends on the weather, of course. But it's going to be a hot one, so I'd imagine that it's going to be a pretty glorious sunrise if the sky is clear and unclouded. Well, let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, and most importantly, stay anti-fragile. Become anti-fragile. Be like the Hydra, and if anything happens in your life and one head is cut off, don't worry. Bounce back. Bigger, stronger, and better than before, so that you can continue along your path to live your dreams and to achieve the things that you've set out to achieve. the things that are aligned to your values, to your goals, to your action plan, and will allow you to live your destiny and to achieve all the things that you deserve in your life. Remembering that we're all worthy. We're all worthy of a good life, and we're all worthy of becoming who we're intended to become, and not to worry about what other people think, say or do, but to be anti-fragile and not worry. Anyway, thank you very much. Yassas from Jim's 5am Club. Ooh, my elbow. And I look forward to catching up with you again tomorrow, and we'll talk again. Yassas. Bye for now. Filakya. Bye. Cheers.